To my fellow stakeholders, we look back at the year 2012 with much to be proud of as a company. At 28.4 billion pesos, consolidated revenues stand at levels our company has never attained before, while our recurring net income attributable to equity holders of the parent at 8.2 billion pesos has surpassed anything that EDC has ever accomplished in its 37 years as a company. In many ways, these stellar results reflect our successful strategy of building EDC into both an integrated and more diversified power and energy player. Revenues from the geothermal power plants we acquired from the National Power Corporation, namely the 112.5 megawatt Tongonan and the 192.5 megawatt Palimpinon plants, have been driving this growth with both higher contracted volumes as well as higher average tariffs. On the other hand, the 60% owned First-Gen Hydropower Corporation, which operates the 132 megawatt Pantabangan-Masiway hydroelectric plants in Nueva Ecija, also contributed quite significantly due to higher sales of ancillary services and an increase in average tariffs and volumes from both contracted and spot market sales. EDC also received a gold level rating from the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Philippine Stock Exchange, and the Institute of Corporate Directors at the annual Corporate Governance Scorecard Awards last year. This three-peat achievement of attaining a gold level rating for its third consecutive year merited what they christened the Platinum Award for EDC. However, not everything last year was rosy. At the annual stockholders meeting last year, I mentioned that we expected to bring the Bacon Manito plants online by September of 2012. Of course, we were disappointed that we missed this date altogether, and the plant has not yet operated over a sustained period. In many ways, this illustrates for us the challenges inherent in rehabilitating power plants. What's certain, however, is that our rehab team remains unfazed by the numerous challenges they've encountered, and we recognize that all technical problems have solutions. And we continue to make solid headway toward bringing the units to commercial operations and hope to resolve all issues in due course. Another unfortunate event that occurred earlier in March 1st of this year was the tragic landslide at the Upper Mahiao sector in Leyte that claimed the lives of 14 people employed by a subcontractor, J.E. Aradasa. The incident occurred at 9:50 in the morning, ironically while the team was working on mitigating measures precisely aimed at preventing such landslides in the future. The work was the reinforcement of just one of 104 vulnerable geohazard areas identified by both internal and external experts. Over the past several years, 98 areas had already been addressed, and that pad in the Upper Mahiao sector was among the final 6 sites that would have been completed over the next few months. The event was tragic to say the least, and there have been many lessons learned. It was difficult, but we always have to remind ourselves that the challenges we faced were nothing compared to the pain and suffering of those who lost their loved ones. Although our crisis management teams were tried yet again, true closure is only achieved by empathetically addressing the real human concerns that surround such incidents. In this regard, I can say that your company stood tall amidst adversity. In many ways, we like to describe EDC as a company still in the early phase of what will be a multi-year transformation. Aside from its integration with the power plants formerly owned by NPC, EDC has also been in the midst of diversifying its generation platform into other renewable forms of energy, like hydro through first-gen hydro, and soon wind through our 87-megawatt Burgos wind farm in Ilocos Norte. Not as visible externally, but just as critical, is the transformation of the entire organization from being function-led into one driven by separate strategic business units, each in Bacman, Leyte, Negros Island, and Mount Apo, with each being responsible for their own results and bottom lines. The functions will now actively support the needs of each SBU, and we expect this heightened sense of accountability will drive efficiency and change efforts at each of the sites. We are already seeing the various SBUs spinning off many non-core activities to third parties that can manage these projects with more focus and efficiency. These so-called strategic contracting initiatives will enable EDC to concentrate its balance sheet and manpower resources on core activities like steam resource development and management, as well as power generation. We can see the visible effects of such initiatives in the form of more modern heavy equipment being made available to the sites, more incentivized drilling performance, as well as a more appropriate headcount that's 26% lower than pre-privatization levels, just to name a few. The proof of the pudding can already be seen in the numbers. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, or EBITDA margins, were hovering at 49% in 2009, shortly after we took over from government in 2007. Today, just 3 years later, that margin now stands at 60%, and we're just getting started. These last 2 years, our Chairman Emeritus launched a campaign throughout the First Philippine Holdings Group to reacquaint all of us with our past, as well as the Lopez values that have brought us to where we are today. We reacquainted ourselves with values such as a pioneering entrepreneurial spirit, business excellence, unity, nationalism, social justice, integrity, and an overriding concern for employee welfare and wellness. Throughout our family's history, these values have been at the heart of our DNA as Lopez companies. It is our wish that these same values will also reside at the core of the multi-year transformation of EDC as it continues its post-privatization journey and becomes a full-fledged kapamilya in FPH and the Lopez Group of companies. So this year, once again, I'd like to thank all our customers, suppliers, employees, and management teams. Change and transformation never comes easy. And we want you to know that it is precisely your faith and trust that inspires us to take EDC to greater heights and can make anything possible. Thank you very much.